afternoon, everybody. This is Steve, aka Dreaming Crow, doing a quick video. This is actually in response to a couple requests for more information regarding the process to the Demons of Magick book by Gordon Winterfield. As well as a couple of requests that I've had from outside sources, people I've talked to on the streets, and a few things, people who recognize me for who I am, where I live. So I've had a couple of people come to me and they said, I'm trying to understand the process, and I asked them to describe to me what they're doing, and I understand that they're kind of being vague at some points. But I want to address the importance of following the process in the book as opposed to modifying it. Try not to modify it too much at this point, especially if you're new to the practice. This should be obvious. Wait for modifying until after you've had a good deal of experience with it, okay? But try to follow the process in the book. If you do that, I can't stress enough that you are going to get results, okay? You just need to make sure that you have all the tools necessary in order to complete the ritual properly, okay? So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to break it down a little bit. The first thing I'm going to do is perform the ritual opening as described in the Demons of Magick book, and then I'll walk through the core ritual again, and I'll probably explain a few things along the way. And then what I have in my personal book here is I actually have a copy of the full ritual that has everything back to back, what it should look like, or basically the following process and how to get everything done, so that you're not having to flip back and forth between pages. Okay. When I do that full ritual, I'm probably not going to do a lot of explanation during that time. Just pretty much get it done, give you a walkthrough, and hopefully that makes things a little more clear. If you follow the process, again, you shouldn't have any problems whatsoever. Yeah. So let me go ahead, and we're going to go ahead and start with the opening ritual. For those of you who are not familiar with the opening ritual, it's fairly similar to the Lesser Banishing Ritual, the Pentagram, which is commonly found in a lot of Hermetic systems, particularly the Golden Dawn. Basically, just think of this as a banishing ritual. You're trying to clear your space and before you do any type of magical practice, really, and that's pretty much about it. All right. So for this ritual, in order to perform the Demons of Magick, for the first evocation process, which is a petition for results, they do ask that you have some type of fireproof dish. This is what I usually burn most of my stuff in. A candle. You do want to make sure that you have the dark sigil, which is I'll show you a picture of it, which should look like this. I have my book on tablet. I don't have the printed copy of Demons of Magick. I still have mine on tablet. But this is what the dark sigil looks like. You want to find this, in your book. I kind of expanded it a little bit so that I could actually view it for purposes here. You also want to make sure that you have a piece of paper to write your petition on, and matches for burning the request when you get to that point in the ritual. Okay, and of course make sure you know which demon you're working with as well. If you don't have a candle, or you can't burn something in your home for whatever reason, you don't need it, okay? In which case you don't need the fireproof container as well. You can simply just take the piece of paper once you complete the ritual and tear it into small pieces, and then place it in the bin, and you're done. All right. But for this purpose, I'm actually going to use the candle. So give me just a moment to get back with you, and we'll go ahead and start the ritual opening for Demons of Magick. All right, everyone. So let's go ahead and jump into the ritual opening here really quick. I always find that it's best to do this out loud, so if you're in a place of privacy, that's great. If for whatever reason you need to perform these rituals in silence, that's totally fine too. I can't begin to tell you how many times I've done stuff like this in a coffee shop somewhere, or a restaurant while eating a sandwich or something, or on a bus, anything like that. If you need to do it in silence, that's fine. But for best results, for me, I like doing it in my ritual space here in the home, and it works out great for me. Please try to not have so much attention back here. As we know, I'm still doing videos on this black scrying mirror, and on the other side over there in the far corner I have some crystals and stones that I'm getting ready to consecrate for a couple videos, and try not to pay less attention to that. Alright, so let's go ahead and start with the ritual really quick. So of course you want to be standing facing north, or it's the approximate direction, okay? And just take in the silence for a moment, kind of center yourself. You know, to begin the ritual. Before me, and then of course you want to envision the qualities of Oriel. In this case, Oriel is in the north. She's an earth angel, and you're going to imagine growth and greenery. Imagine a very lush forest when you invoke Oriel at this point. Again, at my back, Raphael. Raphael is the angel in the element of air. It is behind you in the south at this point, and their association is wind, anything associated with wind. Colors for Raphael happen to be blue and yellow, so if you can imagine those types of colors, even if it's like in a scenery, the stronger your connection with that type of evocation key will help bring in Raphael for you. If you could just imagine the colors blue and yellow together in some form, that works as well. On my right, Michael. Okay, now Michael is in the east, which represents fire. Now I understand, folks, I'm going to stop right here really quick. I know if you belong in a traditional magical practice, they're going to tell you fire's in the south and air is in the east. Again, just go with the information in the book. Don't try to overcomplicate this, all right? Just go ahead and follow that practice. And again, Michael is in the element of fire. Bring associations to mind that represent fire, and its colors are going to be red, with red with green. So if you can imagine, say like a red fire with green sparks coming off of it, that's a totally fine representation of Michael, or in this case, Magick. Okay? Continuing with the opening ritual. On my left, Gabriel. Okay, and Gabriel is, or as some people pronounce it, Gabriel, is the angel for the element of water, and she is on your left in this process, which is the west. So I'm going to bring my tablet back up here really quick. It kind of turned off on me. Okay. Colors for Gabrielle are blue and orange. Okay, so say imagine a blue ocean, and as that water washes up onto the shore, there's say reflections of orange in that. Okay, anything that will put you in a position to imagine Gabrielle, as long as its colors are orange and blue, are totally fine at this point. Okay, and then as you're doing this, you want to envision the Kabbalistic cross. This is going to be, when you envision this, you're going to envision a bright light coming from the north, passing through you, and then going to the south, okay? And as you continue to invoke these angels, say when you invoke Michael and Gabriel, again, you're going to have a beam of light come to you, pass through you, and these two lights are going to intersect at a point in your chest cavity or your heart area, or your solar plexus area, right in here. And then that beam of light is going to go again, off to your left. So just imagine these two beams of light coming from an infinity, going to infinity in all four directions. Once you've completed that, you're going to connect with Metatron. Metatron is, in this case, kind of like the highest archangel, and he's going to represent spirit in this case. And when you do this, just imagine a white light coming down, as if somebody has, say, a light. Say you're standing on a stage somewhere, you're getting ready to sing a song or start a play or anything like that. A bright light just comes down and encircles you. That's basically what you're doing here when you envision Metatron coming into the circle here. From above, Metatron. Okay. Now Metatron descends at this point and completes the ritual opening at this point. Again, this is the point that you do want to have this sigil before you. You're going to be looking into this sigil. You don't need to necessarily be concerned with the writing around the edge of the sigil, but you are looking into it. You're looking into the center. You want to consider this point, consider it as a gateway. It's a gateway to infinity. And I am kind of looking over my notes here in my book, of course, as well. But just know that as you peer into that circle, that you're at that point, that moment in time, that you can change your reality to whatever you need it to be at this point. So you're looking into this and you're centering yourself. And the first thing you want to do is you want to imagine what it was like at your moment of birth. I know that's probably hard for a lot of us to figure out, but try to capture that feeling for as best as you can. Imagine your first moment at birth. You took your first breath. And then just kind of, you don't need to visualize it, you just need to feel it. And then, again, as you're looking into the circle, you want to imagine what it might be like at your last moment of life, your last breath, okay? So, and then you're going to kind of put these two together. It sounds kind of contradicting, but what you're trying to do here at this point is center yourself, and what you're doing is you're at that realization that you're somewhere between the moments of the beginning of life, where you've taken your first breath, you've exited that womb, and that you're at that moment of death, where you breathe your last breath, and somewhere in between, you're in that reality. You're basically centering yourself at this point. You don't need to do a whole lot of visualization. Just kind of imagine that feeling. A word of note: I'm not asking you to have a feeling of dread, what it might be like in order to die. That's not what we're saying here. We're just trying to have you connect the two realities and understand that you are within, at some point, a moment in that a moment in time, and you're just centering yourself at this point. This is all explained in the book. If you've read Demons of Magick and you've read the opening ritual opening and whatnot, Gordon Winterfield does go into all of this. When you're reading these books, if you're performing these rituals and you're saying that you're not getting results, well, what part of these, did you skip over a lot of this? And I know I'm not trying to be condescending to anybody in particular, but when people ask me questions, hey, why am I not getting results? I'm like, are you going through all the steps? And while this may not seem like a very big step to one point or another for some people, you do need to get yourself into that mindset. Okay. So I'm going to keep going with the ritual opening here, and we're almost done. And then we're going to go ahead and do the core ritual. So once you've centered yourself, okay, you do want to visualize. You do have an invocation here at this point. You're now centered in your universe, and you are now at the. You have the authority to command the spirits at this point. Now visualize each of the following. Obviously not the words of power, but you want to visualize. There's certain parts that you want to visualize in this next section, and I'll just kind of point it out when I get to it. The invocation starts out as I am that I am. I will be what I will be. Now at this point, you're going to have the line that reads, the scent of a burning rose. At this point, you want to visualize these. It doesn't need to be intense, but you do want to imagine these sensations. And a lot of them, they're going to be in order to open your senses. So when it says the scent of a burning rose, you're bringing in your sense of smell. When you mentioned leaves crushed in my fingers, you're bringing in the feeling of touch. Okay. So let me go ahead and just keep going over that invocation there. Okay? The scent of a burning rose. Just imagine what it would smell like if someone took a fresh rose or rose petals and put them on hot coals. The scent of, that's what you want to envision at that point. Leaves crushed in my fingers. Blue twilight, the taste of blood. And when you bring in that sense for the taste of blood, I'm sure we've all been there as children or even adults. We pricked our finger, we cut our finger by mistake. A lot of the times our first sensation is stick your finger in your mouth and suck on your finger to get the blood to stop flowing. Bring in that sense, okay? Blood itself has a very strong irony taste to it. You want to try to imagine that taste in your mouth when you envision that line. Okay? Gravel crackles underfoot. Iron into sparks. Put ice into air. Flame into smoke. Breath into rain. Ata Geboy Olam Adonai. Okay, and I'm going to make the mention of the last 4 lines before I intone the divine name there. Iron into sparks. The best way that I could describe that is, imagine if you were a blacksmith and you're hammering away at something on your anvil. As your hammer strikes that hot iron, you're going to have sparks come up, okay? When you're envisioning these last 4, you're basically envisioning the elements all over again, as if you were invoking each of the angels during the Kabbalistic cross. You're just bringing in the elements again at this point, okay? Ice into air would be like if, imagine a cube of ice that, or imagine ice that melts fairly quickly. When it melts, say you drop it in a hot pan on the stovetop. When you drop that water, that ice, into that hot pan and it melts, you're going to get steam. Basically, that's what we're kind of going for at this point. Flame into smoke. The best thing I can do or recommend at this point is, imagine if you have a candle, you have that smoke coming off the flame. Okay, that's kind of like the point that you want to imagine at this point. So flame into smoke, and then breath into rain. If you live in a cold climate, or you've ever watched a movie where someone's talking and they're outside, it's cold, you have that, you can see their breath as they speak, as it exits their mouth when they're talking. That's kind of the vision that you want to capture at this point. So once you've done with that, you do want to keep looking into the circle for a couple minutes in the center of the circle there. You just kind of want to take all these sensations in. Oops. Okay, and basically what you're doing at this point is you are accepting the reality that you can literally envision that you're reaching into the center of the circle and that you're able to shape and manipulate your future or your will to however you want it. Okay, so continue to, you don't need this for a long time, just a couple minutes. Just once you've done the invocation, continue looking into the circle and capture that feeling that you are now in control of creating your will and your desire for how you want to shape the situation that you're trying to change in your life, all right? So with that, that is the ritual opening. I'm trying to describe all this as best as I can. Again, a lot of these descriptions are already in the book, the way that Gordon Winterfield places it. You might just want to go ahead and review a little bit, but again, as long as you're following the steps, you're going to get results first. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the video really quick, and we're going to do the ritual opening then. Again, I'm going to kind of walk through it, make some explanations as I go along, and then once I'm done recording that, I'll stop it and then come back and do the full ritual from beginning to end, starting with the opening ritual and then the core ritual, and then we'll be done at that point. And I'll be right back. All right, afternoon everybody. This is Steve, and we are continuing with our walkthrough for the Demons of Magick book. We're walking through the core ritual at this point. And once I get done with this part of the video, I will go ahead and stop it, and then I'll be restarting and then performing the entire ritual, both the ritual opening and the core ritual together, as if it was one streamed ritual from beginning to end, without stopping at that point, without a lot of explanation whatsoever at that point. Okay. Before we do that, though, I want to touch on a few things. First of all, when you get to this point in the ritual, you want to do this beforehand. Before you even start your ritual and what you want to accomplish, Gordon Winterfield does recommend that you have pieces of paper cut out. Now, he recommends the size of a compact disc, which is about, say, like 5 inches in diameter. These happen to be a little bit smaller. I have a couple of books that say they cut stuff out like this regularly, and this is the size that I use. Just understand, of course, if you use something bigger, you have a little more space. Okay. So this is, of course, for the ritual of intent, which is the first evocation in the book. And you're not doing a whole lot of, it's like, yeah, you are doing the evocation process, but you're not looking for a physical manifestation at this point. More or less, you just have a desire to change something. It's not requiring you to have the demon show an appearance or anything like that. It doesn't require a whole lot. All you really need to do is make a statement of intent that you want whatever to change in your life, and then go from that point. Also understand that when you do these rituals, you're only going to do them one time. You're not going to have to do this like on a day-to-day basis. Do it one time, and then wait and see for results to manifest at that point. Okay, so let's say, for instance, in this ritual, we're going to be using Boon, which is a 26 demon. And one of the demon's abilities is to manifest more money in our lives. Okay, I mean, who can't use more money, obviously? So think of it like this: if you invoke Boon to bring more money in your life, and then say your boss comes to you and says, hey, we had somebody call out, or we have extra work that needs to get done, do you mind staying over and working an extra 5 or 6 hours and get some overtime pay? If that's something that doesn't happen on a regular basis, and your boss is coming to you, making an offer to you for something like that, and you turn them down, okay, that was basically more or less probably your opportunity for you to get some of the money that you were needing to begin with. So you need to be looking at opportunities. Don't think that just because you evoked boon, for extra money, that you're going to walk down the street to the bus stop and you're going to find a wallet. Chances of that happening are kind of slim. It might happen, of course, you never know. But a lot of things can happen. A friend who owed you money might come to you and say, hey, here's that $100 I owed you. You might walk into a department store with the thought of purchasing something that you had been wanting to for a while, and you happen to walk in that day, and the item that you're going to buy just happens to be 40% off. It's like, hey, we started a sale today. I mean, you have to look at those little things and as part of your manifestation. And there's, lots of other examples I could probably throw out there, but don't throw out there that just because you've done a ritual with boon and you're not seeing extra money come into your life the way that you want it to happen, okay, that it's not trying to manifest. Okay, if you're being presented with these opportunities and you keep saying no, that demon's basically going to say, I'm going to talk to you guys the way that I normally talk in the house. So that demon's going to say, what the fuck? I'm trying to help you. Why aren't you paying attention to what you requested? Okay? Eventually that demon is just going to not want to work with you at all. So be a little mindful of what you're doing and when you're working with these demons, okay? They're actually here to help you. These demons, it's kind of like one of their, I don't want to say it's their sole purpose, but the more that they help us ascend, and you won't find this a lot in right-hand path books, but if you're a left-handed path practitioner and you've done enough reading, demons, the word demon itself literally means teacher or divine intelligence, okay? Certainly their methods may not be as calm and as fluffy and as nice as some other spirits, but they're going to tell you that if you need to get your shit together, this is how it's going to happen, or this is what you need to do. And if you don't follow through with that process, some of them just aren't going to want to work with you, okay? So, again, I'm just talking to you guys the way that I normally talk in this type of situation. If I offend anybody with my foul, vulgar language, I do apologize. But sometimes those words just need to be heard, okay? So let's go ahead and jump into this ritual, this walkthrough process, and then we're going to finish off with the full ritual and then get everything done. Really quick, also, if you don't have some type of book, I recommend that you get some type of notebook. I buy a whole bunch of these at $1 a piece from like the dollar store, someplace like that, Walmart. And this is usually what I put my notes in. This one is empty at this point. I've had it for a while, but the normal book that I'm writing in, that I keep all my notes in whenever I do rituals, is getting full, and I'm going to have to replace it. So whenever that book is full, it goes on my shelf over here. I grab a new book and I start writing in that. Make your notes on your ritual before you start. Okay, first you need, of course, have a piece of paper, and you need to write your petition on that piece of paper on one side, and the other side is going to be the demon's name that you're going to be working with. Okay, and the next point that I want to make out is write your ritual out. You don't want to be flipping back and forth between pages in your book. Where is that demon sigil? Where is this evocation key? Who's the Shem Angel I need to invoke for this? If you just take a regular piece of paper, or you put it in a book and you write down all those key points, when you get to them, in the core ritual, you're going to have your notes right there. Your book's going to be open. You go, oh, okay, that's Shem Angel. Here's a Shem Angel. Here's their invocation prayer. And you're just going to go through, you're going to glide through the ritual fairly easily. If you have to keep flipping back and forth, you're going to lose thought, you're going to lose concentration, you're going to lose valuable time in the ritual, and that could just end up being a problem for you, okay? Also, make sure that you have the coded cipher that you need to perform this ritual. I'm going to show you a copy of the coded cipher. It is in the book, and I have the digital, again, I have the ebook version, the digital copy. For my tablet, my Kindle tablet, it says it's on page 65 of 237. So I'm going to show you a copy of the coded cipher, which is, well, hopefully it'll show up. Wow. All right. That's the coded cipher, okay? And basically, what they're telling you, what Gordon Winterfield tells you to do in the book is to write your petition out on the back of your circled piece of paper in the coded cipher. And he does explain to you that one of the reasons for doing this is, well, coded ciphers have been used for centuries to begin with in magical orders. That way, if somebody came across your book and they couldn't read it, okay? If you want to write it in English, folks, I suppose you could write it in English. I suppose you could write it in your native language. But the reason he tells you to write in the coded cipher is that once you write out your statement of intent in the present tense, okay, is when you want to write it. Once you write it out in that coded cipher, you forget about what that means, okay? Make sure you, of course, write in your notes what your statement of intent is, because there is going to be a point in the core ritual that you need to state your statement of intent in the present tense. Okay, and when I get to that point, I'll alert you, okay, this is the point you read your statement of intent. Again, once you've made that statement of intent on the piece of paper and you have that ready, just kind of go off and wait a little bit, okay? Come back like an hour later. Just kind of forget about it, settle down and relax, okay? And then come back and do your opening ritual and your core ritual at that point. But these are a lot of the basic tools you're going to need to complete these rituals in order to get results. Again, if you're saying, hey, I'm not getting results, are you using all these things? Did you get, if you got a digital copy of the book, where did you get it from? If you got it through Amazon, you should have the full book. But if you're doing like a digital download somewhere, a PDF off of a pirated site or something like that, and you don't have the full book, you don't have pictures and stuff like that, you're missing out on a lot of information. And by my personal standpoint, I personally don't condone that. These authors, they work a lot to present this information to us, to share their magical knowledge with us. The least that we could do as magical practitioners is support them in their work by paying them for what they put out. So you need to consider that as well. Do you have the full copy of the book? If you're not, and you're not getting results, then that could be another issue that you need to address at that point. So let's jump into this ritual. I know I keep getting sidetracked on a few things, but let's go ahead and jump into it, and then we're going to get it done here. Sorry, losing my voice. Alright, so you've done the ritual opening. At this point, again, you're still facing north. If you have a candle, at this point it says you can light your candle. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Oh, wow, okay. Okay, and then it says to bring your attention to the demon sigil. Since we are working with Boone, I pronounce Boone, some people may pronounce B-May. Boone's sigil does appear in the book at page 141 of 237. Again, these aren't like actual pages in the book, it's just the digital, regarding the digital copy. Okay, and then you bring your attention to the demon sigil, and it says, scan your eyes over the letters of the sigil, starting at the top in the block outer circle, moving your eyes counterclockwise. Merely pass your eyes over the letters, taking in their shape and form. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show you sigil really quick, which is like this. And again, starting at the 12 o'clock area, you're going to work counterclockwise around this black area. Then it's going to tell you bring your attention to the red seals on the outside of the triangle. These seals are the seals for the Shem Angel that is over the ritual or over the demon here. Okay, so again, let me kind of turn that. So if you can kind of see here on the sides, here the bottom and the right hand side, there are red seals here. Okay, and you want to look at those really quick. Just kind of take in the shape of what is there. Again, the seal represents the Shem Angel that witnesses that is witnessing over the ritual. Okay, and then it says, become aware of the black triangle. Keep your mind focused on the black areas by moving. By doing so, looking around the demon seal. You don't need to look at the demon seal particularly at this point, but basically the way Gordon Winterfield describes it is simply just by looking around the outside of the black triangle and taking in the entire shape at one time, you have a tendency to bring in more of the seal itself. Okay, you don't need to stare at it so intently. Okay. Okay, and then at this point, once you okay, I'm going to backtrack a little bit here, folks. I forgot the white area. Okay, so when you start out, you're going to start out with in the black circle here at the 12 o'clock position, work counterclockwise. And then you're going to work around this white circle on the inside. I'm sorry. I'm trying to read my notes, and I do need new glasses here, unfortunately. Okay, that's right. It's been a while since I've actually used this material. So once you've done the black circle, go around the white circle on the inside. and then look at the Shem Angel's seals, and then you're going to focus on the black triangle. At this point, then you are going to shift your attention in the ritual to call on the Shem Angel associated with the demon. Okay, when you call on the Shem Angel, you only need to perform the calling one time for each seal. So there's 3 seals, you're going to say it 3 times. And in this case, the Shem Angel for this ritual is Ha'el. So if you're going to intone it, it would be Ha'el, Ha'el, Ha'el. The next step is to call on the appropriate invocation psalm for this Shem Angel. Oops, I'm just going to backtrack a little bit. Which happens to be Psalm 97:1. And it reads, Adonai Malak Tagal Ha'aretz Yesmiku Yem Rabim. Now with the invocation psalm complete, repeat your call to the Shem Angel, calling the name 3 times, gazing at the red seals in turn as you speak to Shem Angel. So again, you're going to call the Shem Angel, Ha'el, and you're going to do that 3 times. And then at this point, it states that sufficient restraint has been enabled, that you can now prepare the way for the demon to come and through the evocation keys. Okay? So the evocation keys for Boone, and this is on page 141 of 237. It reads, Boone is associated with a high-pitched sound like a single note from a flute, or even a single-toned note. A single whistled note. The color is yellow-green, like sunshine coming through new leaves. There's a texture like hair and wet soil and a metallic taste. That seems like a very lot for a lot of people to imagine, okay? Okay, but at this point, that's the evocation key. Sorry for stumbling there, folks. What you do is you want to bring your attention back to the demon's seal, and then as you envision all of the sensory impressions briefly, you're going to be connecting to the demon at this point, basically. You don't need to hold the sensory impressions for a long time. Just understand that when you do this part, it's not for you so much as it is for calling forth the demon, okay? At this point. So if we're going to envision a high-pitched sound like a single note from a flute or a whistle note, envision that. You can even whistle at that point if you like. You could just do a high-pitched whistle in order to make that evocation key, okay? Envision the yellow-green like sunshine coming through new leaves, however you want to envision that. I don't have anything off the top of my head right now. If you need to know what a texture of hair feels like, obviously you have hair on your head. Touch your hair on your head if you have to. Imagine what wet soil would feel like in your hands if you picked some up. And then a metallic taste. Obviously, we know what the taste of blood tastes like. It's very irony, very metallic. You can envision that. Envision all those individually while you're looking at the demon's seal. Okay? And at this point, it says that the demon is aware of your presence. Okay? And then you're going to perform the part of the invocation. And it reads, I was up late last night. In the name, in the name of El, Elohim, Adonai, Iye Asher, Iye, El Shaddai, Elion, Yahweh Shema, and by the power of Ha'el, Ha'amiel, Adimiel, and Abael, I call on you, Boo. Okay. When you're going through that part of the invocation, sorry, don't want to catch on fire. And by the power of the first angel you're always going to mention is the Shem Angel, okay, or the attending angel. And the last three, the next three, are always going to be the angel emissaries, which are the angels that help to constrain the demon for this work, okay? And then you will always call on the demon last, okay? And as a side note there, I do have it says, as you speak the demon's name, you may get an immediate sensation, awareness. You may have air pressure change in the room. It may become hotter, colder, sudden draft, anything like that. You'll probably have some people will have, some type of sensation that they have made that connection, and some won't, okay? The best thing you can do at this point is don't displace it. If you don't have some type of response, keep going. Don't ever stop the evocation at this point. Always assume that you've made contact with that demon and you need to finish out the ritual. Don't ever stop. Don't ever say, well, this crap doesn't work and I'm not going to do it again, and then walk away, because you're probably just going to ask for problems at that point, especially depending on what type of demon you're dealing with. Okay, continue with your ritual as you've chosen. At this point, you want to make sure that you have your paper with the demon's name on one side, your statement of intent on the other. And then when you're finished with your request, you give the license to depart. So, Spirit Moon, I hereby license you to depart to your proper place, quietly and in peace. Yahweh, between you and me, Amen. Okay, if you don't want to say Amen, you can say so mote it be. And then, once you're done with the ritual, you can go ahead and extinguish the candle at that point. Also, a side note, as I said, these are normally burned during the ritual. Again, if you can't burn it because you can't have a candle, then just go ahead and tear the paper up. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop this part of the ritual. I know it was a little bit lengthy because I kind of bantered a little bit there. But just kind of bear with me, folks. I'm going to stop this tape at the moment, and then we're going to come back. I'm going to perform the full ritual, both with the opening and the core ritual together. I'm not going to do a whole lot of explanation, if anything at all, during that time. I'm just performing it so you can see what it should look like. And then that's going to be the end of the video. Okay, so let me go ahead and stop this really quick. I'm going to get a drink of water and I'll be right back. Alright folks, we are doing the last part of the video here for Gordon Winterfield's Demons of Magick. I'll be performing the ritual for the first evocation, which is the petition for results, in its full form, including both the ritual opening and the core ritual. There's going to be a few keynotes towards the end of the ritual that I'm going to briefly pause, and I may end up reading a couple things out loud, things that I just did not touch that were in my ritual summary. But for the most part, this is pretty much how the ritual is going to be performed. You might modify it just a little bit, but that's going to be your choice. The one thing I do want to note out on this is that there is a section that says that if you do want to make an offering to the demon at any point, and that's more towards the end, you can go ahead and do that. You can make an offering to the demon. It's kind of like you saying, hey, if you do this for me, this is what I'm going to give you. I would suggest that you do some type of research on that as far as offerings. Not all demons respond to, hey, I want some of your blood, okay? Of course, if you want to prick your finger and put a drop of their blood on their sigil, that's totally fine. I would probably actually do it like on the piece of paper, on your petition paper, as opposed to their seal, okay? For this intent and purpose, though, okay? But again, some demons respond to, hey, I'll put fresh flowers on my altar every day for a week, if you do this. Or, hey, I have this nice, let's say you evoke a demon that is an association with Mars. A great thing for someone like that would be to burn tobacco for them. You might go up to a pipe shop and say, hey, I want a natural tobacco that doesn't have like any additives or very little additives to it. So like a natural cut tobacco. What do you have for me? Spend a little bit of money on that if you're going to do something like that. And then when you get home and you light a charcoal block and you want to burn some of that tobacco for that demon, you can go ahead and do that, and that would be a nice way of doing it. And there's just so many other things that you can do. I would probably avoid doing things like food or wine or anything. Personally, I'm not one for leaving food or wine or drink or anything like that out, especially for an offering, because first of all, letting it spoil, it would be like kind of something I would frown upon. I wouldn't want rotting food like on my altar for like a whole week. But if you want to go ahead and use food or something like that, you could say, hey, I'm gonna take this to a park somewhere, and you might leave it out like at the base of a tree somewhere. That might be a way you want to do something like that if you're into doing like leaving a food offering or a drink offering. So just a couple of things to think about. So let's go ahead and jump into the ritual and get this done. I've got a lot of other rituals I got to get done today as well. I'm gonna be filming, so my voice is probably going to go out here by the end of the day. And as a side note, yesterday was my birthday, February 28th. So I am now 48 years young and looking forward to many, many more. So let's go ahead and jump into this first. For me, Uriel. That's my back, Raphael. On my right, Michael. On my left, Gabriel. From above, Metatron. Asher, I am that I am. I will be what I will be. The scent of a burning rose is crushed in my fingers. Through the twilight, taste of blood, purple crackles in the food, iron into sparks, ice into air, flame into smoke, breath into rain, Ata Givoi Olam Adonai. Oh. First, we're looking at the black circle, starting at the 12 o'clock position, and just taking them all of the shapes. And you can do this a couple times is usually sufficient for most people. Moving up the white circle inside of that, going counterclockwise, taking all of the angel emissaries that are assisting with this ritual. And looking at the Shem Angel's sigil, the red sigils around the black triangle. Look at each one. And then bring your attention to the black triangle with the demon sigil. Just taking the entire triangle. You don't need to focus so intently on the sigil itself, and to bring that shape and just absorb it into your consciousness. And feel that connection. Shift that. At this point, you want to look at the black triangle that contains the demon sigil. Again, just momentarily connect with that demon. Say the name 3 times should be enough. But if you want to repeat it a couple times, that's fine. You can do it out loud or in your head silently. Evocation keys at this point. point, you do want to have your petition written on the other side of the paper, roughly in the cipher script, and the demon's name is going to be on the other side. You should have done this prior to beginning the ritual, of course. Go ahead and turn it over and just look at it at a quick glance. At this point, you're going to fold the paper in half. And it says to gaze at the demon sigil and bring to mind the thought of your intent. What is it that you want to manifest? Bring it in, imagine it, allow it to fill you up. Bring those feelings to the front of your mind. Imagine what a demon would be like if your intent manifested. What kind of pleasure would result from that? How would it feel? Imagine it's already happening. So, and with boon, if you're wanting to manifest more money, you don't want to imagine how it might happen. Okay, what you want to imagine is having that money. You've already received it. Okay, you don't need to worry about the steps on how that money is going to come to you, whether it's going to be paid through a debt or overtime through work, or you're going to find something, or whatever. Don't worry about the process. Worry about the end result. You have the money that you needed, and that's fine. If you were wanting the money for some intent, say to purchase a car, then envision that car. Envision having that car, driving that car. What does that car smell like to you when you sit into it the first time? The feeling of having the keys to owning that car, hearing the key being placed in the ignition for the first time, and turning that key and hearing that engine start up. Envision all of that if that was your end result for wanting more money. Okay, if your end result was to just have more money because you want to have more of a nest egg or a safety net in case something happens, what does that feel like looking at that? When you're looking at your bank statement saying, hey, I got that extra money, I feel good, I'm not feeling like I'm hurting for money now. What does that feel like? Bring those feelings to you at this point. And let me just go ahead and continue, and then with that feeling and that result, speak your statement of intent aloud to the demon. And once you've spoken your phrase, you take your folded piece of paper and you cover the demon's sigil. In this case, it's on my tablet, but if you have a printed copy or you're using the actual book, place it over the demon's sigil so you cannot see the sigil at all at this point. And this is a point that if you were going to intend to do an offering to the demon in order to get them to perform, your manifestation to get what you want, this is where you would make that offering to the demon. if you don't have an offering, you don't want to do an offering whatsoever at this point, simply keep moving forward. Return to the feeling of having the demon there, and bring that feeling back that that demon has manifested your desire, they manifested your intent for you. Bring that moment back and feel it. Be thankful to them. Thank you, thank you, thank you for manifesting that. Thank you. Be grateful to them for helping you get what you want. Okay. And you're going to remove this piece of paper from the demon's sigil. Glance at their sigil one more time, just a couple seconds. You don't need to stare at it, just look at it. And then if you have your candle, you're going to burn your statement of intent, light it. Drop it in your fireproof dish. Look back at the demon's sigil one more time and give the demon a license to depart. O spirit boon, I hereby license you to depart to your proper place, quietly and with peace, of Yahweh, between you and me. Amen. And then you simply blow out your candle, or if you have a snuffer, you can use that. Remove the sigil from your view. And your ritual is over at that point. Alright folks, that is the full ritual for the petition for results for the Demons of Magick by Gordon Winterfield. I hope this clarifies a little bit more for you, and go ahead and follow through. As I've stated in some of my videos, this is my personal book that I've kind of written like all of my rituals in. They're pretty much all from the Gallery of Magick. Some of them are just quick summaries, and again, some of them I've just rewritten the ritual out completely so that everything is in front of me. I don't have to go running around for different things. And in some cases, I will have, I do have the digital copy as well as the physical copy. So if I do need to have a sigil that I haven't printed out yet, I can go to that digital copy, pull it up, and just have it right there for me. So with that, folks, we're going to close this out. I'm probably going to go ahead and get some lunch really quick, and it's getting a little late. So I hope this clarifies stuff for you. And if you have any questions or comments, please put them in the section below. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I would appreciate that. And if you are a subscriber, I appreciate your subscription at this point. You guys do help me make the channel what it is. And without your comments and suggestions, I probably wouldn't be continuing this even at this point. So I appreciate you for your subscription. And with that, again, I'm going to get some lunch, do some more filming for some videos this weekend, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care, folks. Have a great day, and infernal blessings. Bye.